Hey guys, welcome to the show. Today on the show, I've got a fellow by the name of Alan Kipping-Ruane. He's on the show today to talk about his website, tryguycoaching.com. He actually does online coaching, trains fitness athletes, and yeah, he's here to talk about his show. And welcome, Alan.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, no problem. So, do you kind of want to like share your story, like how this all got started, and go way back? I know, obviously, you're in the military, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, I took a different, I guess, path that most entrepreneurs take. I think it's definitely a new way that some can think about it, but being a coach. So my entrepreneur, I think, kind of mentality started when I was a kid. My dad kind of, I think, groomed me and my brother into being that way. If I wanted to go to the movies, I had to raise money, and to do that, I went to door-to-door selling candy. I went as far as creating a toll booth on the road that I live on. It didn't really work out so well, but it was these small little projects that kind of gave way to what I was going to be starting my business today. Right after high school, I didn't have the grades that I was looking for to go to college, so I joined the Navy. I had been a lifeguard, and I was swimming competitively pretty successfully my entire life, so I thought, heck, why not be a rescue swimmer in the Navy, jump out of helicopters, be a cool job. So I got into the endurance arena when I was on deployment, my first deployment in Bahrain, which is an island off the east coast of Saudi Arabia. I was there for 6 months, and a buddy of mine was training for a triathlon that was local in the area. I was like, that sounds like fun. I might as well do something. I'm bored. And so it meant I could keep swimming and stay in shape to be a rescue swimmer, but get back into swimming competitively. And we were making quite a bit of money out there, so when I got back, I bought a bike, and I started racing my first triathlon. And I was hooked, immediately hooked. Started going further distances, going to an Olympic distance or international distance, and into a half Ironman, which is a 70.3. And then from there, I went to my second deployment, got back, and then I discovered that I was colorblind. So my entire life kind of just stopped immediately, and I wasn't allowed to fly anymore. So what we called flying a desk. I was in charge of 70 rescue swimmers, in charge of their training, and my work days that instead of going from 10, 12-hour days, were going into a 4 to 6 hour day. So I was bored, and I decided to start a business coaching athletes. I had done successfully as I was on deployment, immediately came back, and my friends were like, you know what, you should do this for, do this something, it'll keep you motivated, keep you interested in the sport. So I started my business, got out of the military, and now I'm in school at Penn State University studying physiology and using that to help go with my coaching ability. And from now, I coach athletes both online, internationally, as well as locally. Swim, bike, and run, doing marathons, adventure races, half Ironmans, even Tough Mudders and things like that. So it's been a fun ride, and I'm still looking forward to seeing what athletes that I can get to the finish line.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I know, like we were talking before we started, I've seen online that there's a lot of like online coaching that people offer. They'll put together a plan, but I didn't realize kind of like, the logistics of it, that you could get really, really in depth with some of these things. Like you're kind of coaching some really high-end clients from what it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you want to talk?
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, you can go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, a lot of my athletes, I think now, what I try and focus on is giving back to veterans. I know it was just Veterans Day this past week,
Yeah.
but I think my biggest thing is now trying to give back to veterans as much as I can coming back from war.
Right. So your goal is to help as many people as possible,
Right,
tackle those obstacles that they might be coming into.
right, right.
Now, I know you said, too, I thought this was interesting. You mentioned that one of your current clients had like an injury, so that was something that you were able to kind of adapt around with your coaching.
Yes, this past, I guess it's been, what's November? 2 months ago, I picked up my first veteran, military veteran, although he's in the Army and I'm in the Navy, but I was okay with coaching him. He ended up losing his right leg, I believe. Yeah, his right leg. I think so. Yeah, I think it was his right leg
Hmm.
above the knee, so he's an above the knee amputee. And you know, last year he wasn't able to run 10 miles. He could only run about a mile, then had to get in his wheelchair. And now he's looking to qualify for the Rio 2016 Paralympics. And I reached out to him and said, look, I want to work with you because he's still getting back on his feet, and so I work with athletes like that, and I've specifically worked with him to get him back on his feet, to get him out the door, to keep him motivated, to see him succeed, because for him to cross the finish line gives me the biggest joy as a coach.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's really awesome. So, I mean, you're basically allowing, you're changing lives for these people, allowing them to, do better with their, fitness overall and help them get better.
Right, yeah.
Cool. So, do you want to talk a little bit about, like let's say I were to go online, to your site and I buy one of your courses. I know you've got courses that like range from beginner to advanced. If I were to buy, like, let's say I buy a beginner course, like what would that entail in terms of, like what would be some example things that I might be doing during that course?
So we'll say use the typical athlete. Let's say you want to run your first 10-kilometer race or a 5-kilometer race. Let's go to a 10-kilometer race. So you can go to my website, and you can go to the website, and you ended up clicking on training programs, and it'll bring you up a website that's called Training Peaks. TrainingPeaks.com is a great software that I use to help talk to my athletes, talk to others that look at purchasing training plans. Then you can go there and look for the 10-kilometer, which should be on there, but 10-kilometer race or 5-kilometer race. I'm sorry, there's a 6-week beginner 10K race. So what you do is you end up purchasing that race, and I can actually screen share to kind of show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
this might
yeah.
help a little bit. Let me know when it's up.
I think it's just loading in now.
Oh, okay. So you go to tryguycoaching.com, look at services, and you click on training programs, and it brings up this site that you see right here. From here,
I don't know if it came up for me quite yet, but give it a minute here. I know for those of you listening on the podcast, you won't be able to see this, but basically he's got it's quite in depth. It's really cool. There's a whole, tracking system he's able to use where he can go through and look at all this. Okay, yeah. So it's a showed up now, so you can go ahead and describe this.
So when you go to my website, click on training programs, it'll come up when you click this, and it'll bring up this website, which is trainingpeaks.com, as you can see. And you can scroll all the way down to 6-week beginner, right? And what it ends up doing is you hit buy. Now, when you hit buy, it ends up having you sign up for the program called Training Peaks. Now, when you sign up for Training Peaks, you're going to end up getting this. Is going to show up like this. Now, on the first day, you're going to run. You're not going to run, but the next day you're going to warm up, and then you're going to get emails to your inbox that say you're going to run 1.5 miles, and then you're going to do 4x1 minutes fast with a 2-minute rest in between. And that's essentially what you do, and then you do the 6 weeks, and I can show you 6. And it'll get you to where you see the 10K, good luck. And then, so basically, it works with an athlete through. I also have emails that I'll send because I can see the person that purchases it, and I can send emails to the person to go, hey, do you have any problems or any questions about the program? Are you worried about race day? You got anything you got questions about? Please feel free to email me. And then usually I send a post-race email that says, hey, great job on your race. How did you do? Do you have any feedback for me? Is there anything I can help you with in the future? Do you have any athletes that would be interested in doing the same training plan and things like that? So that's how, at least I do it virtually as well as coaching athletes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, this is really intuitive. So basically, anyone that signs up, they're basically getting everything right in their inbox. They're able to, just follow along with what you've already pre-set up for each plan.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. It's pretty simple. I mean, I try to make it as simple as possible for the athlete because, as you know, the more complicated something gets, sometimes people just stop doing it or walk away.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know for me, like I've been in all kinds of different training courses that, usually just having it come to your inbox every day or, able to kind of go with the flow of things. Like I'm recently in a training course I know where they don't allow you to like skip ahead. So you have to like,
oh wow,
you do the first week, and then once you're done with that, it like unlocks the next week of content. So it's really cool that you can kind of just go along with it that way. You can't skip ahead or get in anything you shouldn't be.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So now, what about like meal plans and things like that? What are you doing? What are you doing for that in terms of if someone buys a meal plan? Do they come with any of these training courses as is, or are they separate?
Now, the meal plans are a little bit more complicated. I don't think I have any on there for sale. But basically, or if I, yeah, so I don't think I have anything on there for sale. But basically, what I'll do with meal plans is, endurance athletes, have to focus on sports nutrition. Their carb intake has to be a little bit higher. Their fat intake has to be a little bit higher. But as well as trying to recover from workouts, their protein intake has to be a little bit higher. So this doesn't mean you're going to sit down and eat a chocolate cake. It just means that you need to eat the correct foods with regards to what your training is at what's going on with your training. So normally I'll consult with athletes. Not I wouldn't say I focus more on like a vegan diet, but it's more of a holistic. We're trying to get rid of the junk food. You're trying to get whole foods that are the most natural in its own state, and then supplying maybe meal plans that way by email or suggesting um, meals or recipes for athletes. I mean, I sometimes get calls from my athletes that are in the grocery store and go, I need help. I don't know what to buy. My wife does this normally. What the heck am I supposed to do? And so I'll sit on that phone for an hour and walk through the person going through the grocery store. Look at the bananas. You want to find this color. Don't pick up this one. Pick up a melon. Does it feel soft in certain spots? Maybe that's not good. So I'll walk with athletes in terms of helping them not only with meal plans, but picking out the right and correct foods, even while they're at the grocery store.
Wow. So now, how I wanted to hear more about like what it is you're doing to kind of promote your site and get more clients. Like, what are some avenues you're going with? Are you doing any like paid advertising, or how are you able to kind of get yourself out there?
So I struggled with this in the beginning, and lately I've been having some success with Gary Vaynerchuk. Are you familiar with him?
I do know him, but I haven't really read or kind of looked through a lot of his content. I hear him
So
mentioned a lot.
his philosophy is, I think he just wrote this book. It's called Jab, 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 or Punch, I guess, or whatever. But it's all about give as much free content, give as much stuff as you can, and then finally ask for something in return. So lately, I've been reaching out on Twitter using searches as well as on Google Plus, just looking for people, even on forums, looking for people that have questions about triathlon. Because I'm not trying to go out and sell somebody. There's nobody likes the person that has the car salesman attitude of look at me, I'm a coach, buy from me. But my goal and even my mission is to help as many athletes as I can, make the most available, get the most out of their available training time. If that means I can reach out to many more athletes on a forum, and maybe one of them goes, hey, could you give me some run advice? And then it turns out I give that person run advice. Maybe they have a friend that has the same problem, and they send them to me. So lately, it's been a lot of just giving out as much free information. Even if people have questions on Twitter, I'll write up a whole article. Then I'll say, hey, you asked about that question. I wrote up and I spent an hour and a half writing this article because I think you would find a lot of benefit from reading this, and as well as maybe your friends or other athletes that I work with will find benefit from that. So for me, at least online, it's all about finding people on Twitter, people on Facebook, social media. Now, when I walk away from the camera, walk away from being online, it's a lot of being out there at the events, being out there supporting athletes, being out there giving out like free training camps, free race clinics, things like that. I mean, sometimes beginners have no idea how to change a tire on their bicycle, so
Right.
that's what I'm there to do. And usually we see about a 1% conversion. So if I'm in the room of 10 athletes, at least one of them will come back to me for some paid help.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean, pretty much you're basically just doing a lot of networking and emailing people and just kind of building
Absolutely.
those single relationships, and that's really working out for you.
It has. And I think I mean, at least in our business, at least in the endurance world, it seems to me that that's the best way to go about it. It's
Yeah.
a
I
lot of
mean,
grassroots networking.
yeah, you figure too, you might not see, with some other niches, you might not see as some of these, like the people you'd be targeting might not be as apt to be interested in some of these things, like people that
Right,
are more like in make money niches and things like that.
right. Well, I mean, interesting statistic. the Kona World Forward or the Kona GoPro World Ironman Championships, the ones you normally see on NBC or on TV, about half of the field there only had a coach. That meant that at least half of them got themselves there by themselves. So there's still a lot of people that aren't looking for this information, and there's also a lot of people looking for information. So like you said, I'm just having to network and find those people that I want to connect with to help.
Yeah, I know you mentioned forums too, and that can be a huge avenue for finding traffic as well as finding
Yes.
potential.
But you also have to be just as careful because sometimes you can come off a little too pushy.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I like the, and I hear this all the time too, is, give free value. I don't know if you follow Pat Flynn of Smart Passive Income. I don't know if you're familiar with his blog at all.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like his motto and what he does, and that's why he's able to do so well with like affiliate marketing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And it obviously works so well.
Who's
But
making like 50 grand a month or so?
yeah, exactly, because he gives and gives and gives. I know he did like recently. He actually used Google Hangouts and he did a Q&A session for like 2 hours where he just answered questions with no pitch at the end.
I mean, but that does so much better for his business than it would be asking for a pitch at the end.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's like, for me, I think today I even unsubscribed to someone's email because every week they're sending me some new offer or some new program they're trying to get me to buy, some new affiliate
Oh,
program, and it
absolutely.
becomes daunting to a point. It's like, well, there's really not much here that they're giving me that's of value. It just becomes more annoying than anything.
I mean, I think like email marketing has its place, but the people that are marketing or advertising, you know, most people are not looking at the road when they drive. They're looking at their phone. I mean, some people are guilty, and we're all guilty of it. So
Mm.
that doesn't mean you're going to be looking at the outdoor media that someone paid thousands of dollars on a billboard. At the same sense, when you want to watch your favorite show and you DVR it, you're DVRing it because you don't really want to sit there and watch it, right? So when you DVR, you skip through all of the commercials. So why is
Mm.
somebody paying for these TV commercials? Same thing with email marketing. We get all these emails that clog our inbox, but the ones you really look forward to getting is the ones you keep. Otherwise, unsubscribe because it's just, you already said you got a ton of emails recently and you're sorting through that. The last thing you want to read about is somebody trying to pitch you some BS, book that you should buy or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like a lot of people do that, but I'm trying to find as many marketers as I can. I actually wrote an email recently. I'm planning on getting a guest post published. It's regarding like my top 15 email subscriptions, like email lists that I'm
Oh yeah,
subscribed to. So I'm like focusing on the people that I've kind of like watched what these people are doing over time, and then I can say, well, they're actually doing things the right way. They're not just sending me junk.
right,
Those are the people
absolutely.
you want to follow, people like Pat.
And like we're saying, they all have their place. I'm not saying that they're bad. They're just, you have to do it correctly. Otherwise, it's almost like you're wasting your time.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, how many clients have you been able to? I mean, I don't know how long. Like, when did you start the site, and like, how many clients are you currently coaching?
So right now, I have about 10 clients. I started in 2009, and I got my first client because I reached out to all my friends on Facebook and said, "Hey, I'll coach you for $30." You know, that's the best way, to get,
Yeah.
and all I needed was testimonials, and now it's come into, you know, I recently was on Facebook, and I'm part of different triathlon clubs in the area, and I try not to post on there because, again, it's too much of a sales pitch. But somebody was asking me about, do you know anybody in the area that does run coaching? I said, hey, I'll do run coaching. Send me an email, and we can talk about it. I did coaching for her. She gave me 7 referrals because people were asking about, she had so much rave to say about what we did, and so, I only have about 10 athletes right now, but I think every month almost it grows more and more. Right now it's kind of a seasonal thing because we just had Kona World Championships, so you're starting to see a little bit of interest. It'll go down about just right now, December, January, February, March. We'll get picking back up because people are like, oh crap, I've got my race coming up. I actually need to train for this. I don't know what to do.
Right.
So it's very cyclical, but normally I would say I have about 10 athletes at a time. Right now I have about 10.
Okay. Now, you're still doing the part-time kind of full-time-ish job along with this part-time, or are you doing this full-time?
So the military pays for my education to go to school. So that is kind of my incentive for college. So this is, I go to college full time and I do this full time. That's it. And I pretty much, it doesn't make a lot of money, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I don't have to worry about paying for college right now because they paying for it. But once I get out of college, I'm looking forward to spending more time on this. Doing more training clinics, meeting more athletes in person, and to see really where I can take this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good idea, and I've seen a lot of other people do this. There's someone that I follow who's actually in the music industry, and they started their own, like they have their own gym, and they,
Oh
beyond
yeah,
doing it in person in the gym, they're also offering, like, they have plans where they can send you the meal plans or the coaching and stuff. But it doesn't seem like a big focus for this person, at least
right.
that I'm following. Whereas, I mean, if you were to get it big enough, you might be able to start. A lot of it, I would assume, once you kind of send people the stuff, there, most of it should be autopilot, just answering questions here and there. You kind of have everything set in stone.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the biggest thing too is because I need to focus on college right now. You're seeing a big trend, I think, all across every industry is to do merging of business people, kind of networking and collaborating.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. You were kind of breaking up there a little
Or
bit. The
in
video is
Peru or
actually.
Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. You're still
I
here.
was just saying that, at least in my industry, so you want to see you're seeing a lot of people collaborate, and when I have more free time to collaborate with other coaches, maybe put on training camps in places such as Hawaii or things like that. But collaboration, I think, is the biggest thing because right now I don't have that time to do it, but I will in the future.
Right. Right. And I mean, that makes sense. So, I mean, are there any like future plans you use? Like, I know, obviously, if you're able to kind of build your clientele, like, are you planning to maybe get more people involved in the business from, helping you out, or do you plan on doing this solo for the moment? Like, where do you kind of see it going in the future?
I guess a little bit of both. I really want to do more webinars online. I really want to work with more athletes if I can, and I do have my certification in coaching junior athletes, so I'd love to get junior athletes through the pipeline, get them looking towards possibly qualifying for the Olympics. It's a big push from our national governing body. It would be great to be a part of that. I mean, I love working with professional athletes. It's a very different mindset when you're working with professional athletes and working with kids or just the average age group athlete looking to do their first race. And all have their place, and I love working with each one specifically. But, I mean, my ideal would be working with professional athletes, having my own training group, or working with kids, having a training group, and just getting people healthy. Triathlon, the endurance is a lifestyle, and it's not about working out, being type A, but it's really about collaborating with people, connecting with people, and keeping that healthy mindset while you enjoy workouts and things like that.
Yeah,
So
no,
that's
definitely.
exactly what I would love to do is work with like-minded people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, as many people as you can help, the better.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we got to change the world one person at a time.
Yeah. I wanted to ask also, and this is kind of just coming from like my world of things. Obviously, maybe someone of your perspective might have like be able to shed more light on it. But I've kind of like over the past few years, I sort of uh, got really interested in doing like home fitness for saving time, and I kind of
Oh
wanted to
yeah, yeah.
hear your thoughts about like I don't know if you ever encourage or what your thoughts are on like home fitness programs, some of the popular ones like P90X or Insanity.
I think they are fantastic. I really do. Uh, you know, Working out is great, but the other thing that people are also forgetting is nutrition and their diets. So I believe, if they don't have the time, they're getting into working out. Like you said, I think P90X or Insanity is a great thing. But the other tool that I love to talk about is the TRX, which you can do just as well anywhere. And I mean, I've had where athletes will put it in a backpack, go to a local playground with nobody there, set up their TRX. Whereas an Insanity or P90X workout, you're kind of stuck inside. And again, that's great when it's terrible outside in the winter months. It's something to try. It's something good to do. But when you get into the summer, getting outside is still a good thing to keep within your mind because staying inside all day kind of screws with you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you
I
talk about
know.
the SAD, seasonal effectiveness disorder. So
Yeah,
Insanity and
exactly.
P90X I think are great, but I would add TRX into that.
Now, I don't know if I'm actually familiar with TRX. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
So I'm a big proponent about helping veterans or other military paid personnel that have created businesses or created fitness products. So the TRX was started by Navy SEALs that were in the middle of the Middle East, and they needed a way to work out when they only had a few PVC pipes and ropes and nylon strings or whatever. So it's basically a body suspension trainer, and you can set it up on a fixed point. You can set it up in your door, and it's just two straps with a PVC pipe on each strap, like a handle, and you can do chest presses, you can do everything you can normally in a gym, but you're also confined to a smaller space, and it's more functional exercises,
Okay.
especially for endurance athletes. You can focus on doing lunges, whereas P90X and Sanity focus more on high intensity stuff. The PTRX is also more localized, but it focuses more on maybe more endurance stuff. But you can attach it to, like I said, a gym. You can go to a gym for classes. You can go to setting it up in your hotel room. You can travel with it because it doesn't take up as near much size as like your laptop would, and it's really compact and it's just a body suspension trainer to do anywhere you want to.
Wow, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I think I might have heard of that as well, but I'll have to take a look online on Google. I'll put a link in the show notes too if anyone, wants to check this stuff out like P90X Insanity. I'm sure most of you listening have probably heard of this stuff before because it's pretty all over like infomercials and everybody
Yeah,
about it.
that stuff really works if you stick to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had some success with P90X and Insanity, and that was kind of like my, I sort of like stopped going to the gym and just got so used to doing that because it was like easy to just jump into it, and then I wouldn't
Yeah,
have to take that extra time to like drive to the gym or you know.
well, exactly. You're not spending. I mean, the normal low end gym right now, the prices are around $35, but you could pay upwards. Like if you're in New York City, you want to go to Chelsea Pier, their gym is like $145 a month or something. It's
Wow.
it's it's pretty high. But if you pay for Insanity, it's like $300, and now you're made up for the entire month or year of going to the gym and paying for gas and things like that. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a great budget tool, like you said. It's so much been so much successful for people, so they don't have to drive to the gym.
Yeah. Yeah, I think around now, I think last I checked, it was around like both programs are around 120. I'll have to check out
Yeah,
that
yeah,
TRX program too, see like what that involves, how much that costs, because that might be something I could be interested in. Like for me, I'm almost like that, like you described. Like I feel like I'm inside too much, but I want to be able to
yeah,
get
yeah,
out and still like get something really effective, like an Insanity or Facebook.
yeah.
And yeah, I did.
Plus, you look badass doing
Yeah,
when you do a TRX. You look badass when you're outside. So,
I'm
as
sure.
long as you look cool, then you're doing it right.
Yeah, yeah. I think I used to do some running myself, but that was always like, I'll hear like rumors where people will say, if you're doing a lot of running, it's like that typical like you've I guess I've seen people talk about running in general, and like when you see some like the really crazy athletes, it's almost like they're just their frames are smaller, like they're not like these big like bodybuilding type, people like
Oh
the
yeah,
people that
yeah,
are super serious about running. So I had success with it. I remember building
yeah,
like I would follow a plan and
yeah.
I could
I
just
mean, absolutely. But some people aren't made for running.
some or what? Sorry, you broke up a little bit there.
Oh no, I'm just sorry. You were just saying bodybuilders. As yes, just some people aren't made to run. But you were
Yeah,
talking about your training plan.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wanted to ask too. I know you're actually the first person that I've had on my show that I found through the system Harrow or AKA Helper Reporter route. I wanted to ask if you've used that at all to kind of like promote, like, beyond finding people, like finding someone such as myself through that system. Have you been able to use it to get like any publicity for your own website?
Yeah, it's been fantastic for me. I just had an article published on entrepreneur.com. I
Wow.
did an interview. It was somebody who posted, or the woman, I want to say her name is Susan. Um, I don't want to get her name wrong because she did a fantastic job. Uh, S- uh, Susan, I think it's Susan Johnston.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll put a link in the notes if you want to.
Looking up the article, but anyway, it's on entrepreneur.com. But it was the article was absolutely. So the article was called "On Starting Up from Three Veteran Entrepreneurs," and they interviewed me back in September. Or she interviewed me back in September, and on Monday was Veterans Day. I had an article published about my business. I mean, so I've gotten some great stuff. The biggest suggestion with that, Haro, is you have to be consistent with emailing people, and you also don't want to try and sell people like all the time. When I contacted you, I didn't know if I fit into what you were looking for, but because it was Veterans Day, I thought maybe some of your viewers and it might help you as far as interviewing a veteran entrepreneur, literally a veteran entrepreneur. So I found it to be very successful, but it's not going to be 100% all the time. I think I get maybe once every 2 or 3 months I get someone to email me back, but it's been great. I enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like I'm probably gonna have an episode that would have aired before this. I haven't created it as of yet, but I'm gonna kind of talk a little bit about that system. But kind of to give a brief for anyone who might be listening to this and didn't listen to that. Um, Basically, it's free publicity. A free way to kind of get yourself out there if you use Haro, or AKA it's helpareporterout.com.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I did in this case was I put up an ad stating that I was looking for entrepreneurs, and that's how Alan found me, and that's why we're here doing this interview.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a fantastic resource. I mean, people, constantly like, how do I get more publicity? How do I get more people to come to my website?
Yeah.
Well, you have to connect with industry experts and people, such as yourself. And I mean, it's been fantastic when you're able to help others out instead of just yourself.
Right, right. Yeah, I know that there's a couple other interview shows, and they had mentioned the system because they were able to find. I know there's one show in particular, someone by the name of Jamie Tardy. She runs a show called Eventual Millionaire, and she used it to find like her initial, she basically interviews millionaires, so she was able to use that to find people that were millionaires. So I thought that was really interesting, and that's why I signed up. I was like, well, I'd love to find as many people, and that's kind of, I feel like with the coming interviews that I'll be doing, I'm sort of like changing it up, like people like such as yourself, where like you're still an entrepreneur, but you're not really focusing on some of the same things like these other folks are doing. A lot of people that I've interviewed a lot of them are general like product creators, whereas like you're more offering like training and help for people that need it.
Right, right. I will say the one thing with Haro, they just had a bad press about themselves was somebody was going on to write a book, but he was trying to prove that the people that contacted you aren't always industry experts. He was just making up stuff that he told people as a physician, a lawyer, and people were posting on CNN and things like that he was an expert, and he was just giving them bogus information.
Really?
Yeah, I'll have to find an article about that for you, but yeah.
There's no way to really control something like that,
Right.
Like you could technically be sitting here talking to me, and I guess your website obviously gives some proof of what's going on, but in some sense, you could say you're somebody else and just, I'm sure there's,
absolutely.
And if someone's trying to, God knows what they might be trying to do or promote or, there's a lot of interesting people out there.
Absolutely, but it seems that you've been reaching out to people that are actually knowledgeable, and and you're knowledgeable yourself, so I don't think you'll have an issue with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about it. I know some of the inquiries I even was able to get through the system were like kind of mind-blowing, like people that were very big in these companies or websites that just seem to be doing really, really well.
Yeah.
So I figure, the more people, the better. The variety, keeping a variety, that will make it, I'll just have more of an interesting audience. Like, it'd be funny to think like I know that there could be someone listening that might be interested in, who knows, like what if next, in next year they were thinking, oh, well, I want to get back into running or something, and they just wouldn't.
Right.
And then they're, okay, I listened to this interview with Alan, now I could go buy a course and then learn how to, do my first 10K,
Absolutely. And the other thing too is I do want to point out is, if I'm not the right person to get the answer for that person, like let's say a viewer or listener sees this and they wants coaching from me, but I'm not the right person for them, I'm damn well going to find the right person for them to do it. Because for me, like you said, we're not all about trying to be the best. We're trying to help as many people as we can. And through Haro and through other means like podcasting or interviews like this, you're able to help as many people in a wide range of topics.
Yeah, yeah, and that's awesome. I mean, and that's what it's really all about.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I figured we could probably wrap things up. I don't know if there was anything else in particular you wanted to share about your business, but I think you covered a lot. It seems pretty, straightforward. But
No, I mean not at all. The other thing I'd actually talk about was LinkedIn and Instagram. I think are a big thing for to connect with people, and SoundCloud for music for people that are interested in music. But there's other ways to connect with people, and you have to just figure out what's going to work for your business. But I mean, I think I've covered everything. I didn't really have anything else to share. If you want to check out my website, just go to tryguycoaching.com. But other than that, I hope to help anybody that has any questions regarding any fitness or endurance related issues. You can reach me on my website or Twitter. And again, thanks just for having me on here.
yeah, no problem. Thanks for taking the time. I know it's a Sunday. I think this might be the first interview I've done on a Sunday. Now that I think about it, I was like, oh,
Yes, yes.
what time is it in your? It's about 5 o'clock here. Where are
Yeah,
you?
I'm just outside of Philadelphia, so it's around 5 o'clock.
Oh, okay, so you're Eastern as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so thanks for coming on, and I'll put a link in the show notes to Try Guy Coaching for anyone who wants to check that out.
Oh, John, thank you so much for having me and for letting me connect with your visitors and your people watching this or viewing this.
Yep. Talk to you later.
All right, take care.